Hey, and welcome along to this Etch Play video. My name is Adam Burt, and I'm joined by Taya. We're both from Etch Play, and we're here today to tell you about our 2021 Games of the Year. So at the end of every year, we like to look back at the titles that meant the most to us over the last 12 months, talk a little bit about why they were so special and what they really meant to us, I guess. This year we've got quite an eclectic list collected from all members of Etch Play staff and some people from the wider Etch network as well, spanning genres, budgets, platforms, all sorts of kinds of games we've got in here, and we're going to run through a few of them with you now. Sound good, Ty? You ready for this?
I am so ready.
Good. I'm glad you are ready. We are starting with a game that I actually nominated for the list, so I'm happy to talk about it first, which is Forza Horizon 5. So this game came out to rave reviews late this year. It's available on Game Pass, so it's got a really wide audience, lots of people playing it. Very well reviewed. In fact, the best reviewed new game of this year, according to aggregators like Metacritic. But still missed out on the Game of the Year award at the Game Awards. Wasn't even nominated, in fact, to the consternation of many on Twitter. But I wanted to kind of right this wrong, I guess. I wanted to say, this game is great. It deserves this level of recognition because it's so good. And I think it suffered a little bit from the fact that the previous one in the series, Forza Horizon 4, was also incredibly good. And this is really, it's a refinement rather than a revolution. It's not dramatically different to Forza Horizon 4. But it does take the fourth entry, which was already incredible, already a 9 point something out of 10, and just tweaks it in some ways, making it even better. Doesn't reinvent any of the wheels, but it gives them the best possible tyres, is the way that I like to put it. And yeah, I mean, the game, it just looks incredible, makes you feel justified in that new console that you've bought. Gameplay is finely tuned, really, really fun to play, makes you feel like a real driving superstar. And I guess the highlight here, as it was in 4, is that expansive open world that you can drive around. It's Mexico in this one. Really vibrant landscape. You get dust storms, you get different climates, you get the jungle, you get the top of the mountain or a volcano, whatever it is. And racing just basically doesn't get better than this. It's such an accomplished game, and it really deserves to be, given all the credit that it's been given by many publications this year. Taya, I know that you have downloaded Forza Horizon 5 because I forced you to. You're yet to play it, but do you think this game deserves its spot on the list? Happy with this?
For sure. I'm really looking forward to trying it. I mean, just watching the videos, it looks incredible. I've not played a racing game for a fair few years, so they've got really far in the time that I've kind of switched off from the genre. But it looks amazing. You say it's amazing, so I trust you. And while it didn't unfortunately get nominated for Game of the Year, I do know that they got their accolades from accessibility in gaming, which is really exciting for me. So yeah, looking forward to trying it out.
All right, next up we're talking about Unpacking, which is a cutesy game that became a bit of a sensation, I guess, especially on Twitter this year. So despite, a lot of people's penchant for big games that span hundreds of hours and massive open worlds and all that sort of stuff, Unpacking is deceptively simple. You basically just put things away out of boxes. But it became a real cultural touchstone, I guess, and a much-needed dose of wholesomeness in a year that maybe people really needed it. Dan Thomas put this on the list this year. He said it's really special to him because of its originality and timing. It came at a much needed time for many of us, still exhausted from the past couple of years of uncertainty and changes, and he praised the slow, meditative pace and unlosable gameplay, which makes it a charming little game which is a true escape from the hectic whirlwind that was 2021. Taya, I know you're an Unpacking fan as well. You want to say anything about Unpacking?
I just love Unpacking. I think 100% agree with Dan. It's such a nice little gem to just plug into. It's so approachable, so satisfying to kind of get the stuff out of the boxes, put it in the right place. And what I think surprised me and a lot of people playing Unpacking is just how powerful of a story was being told through this gameplay. Which is such a simple, mundane mechanic. You literally take socks and your clothes and kitchen utensils out of boxes, but actually, as you go through the story, you learn about the protagonist, who you never see. You learn about their life, what kind of challenges they're facing, and you get to learn about them as a person, which I think is a really accomplished thing for the developers who have done it. So well done to Witchbeam. I love it. I know Dan loves it, and I know lots of people around the world are loving it. So very well deserved.
Congratulations on Unpacking. Next up, we're talking about Tales of Arise. And Taya, I'm just going to throw straight to you here because you put this on the list. You love this game. You never stop talking about it. Tell us why Tales of Arise is one of the games of the year 2021.
So this was my first choice for Game of the Year because I absolutely loved it. Now, I will preface by saying that I haven't finished it yet because I've been a very busy bee, but I am near finishing and I can't see how any other hours left in the game are gonna change this for me. You know, Tales has been a franchise that people have loved across the world since the 1990s, and Tales of Arise is the latest installment, and it is absolutely beautiful. Even when it came out, it got some really good critical reviews, and I'm very happy to say it's won Best Role-Playing Game at the Game Awards, which is the one that I voted for as well. I think it's really well deserved. It is a very kind of fairly formulaic story that you see in a lot of RPGs. You know, there is a chosen protagonist who has amnesia and doesn't really know. Classic, right? Doesn't really know who he is or what's going on, and then he suddenly discovers that he has these incredible powers, and he decides to go and use these powers to free his people from other people. I don't want to spoil too much. Basically, there's some
no spoilers here.
No spoilers.
People fight people. It's a tale as old as time.
Basically, and even though that premise is so simple, the way the story is told is just absolutely took my breath away. There was a fair few occasions where I did cry as well. It's a really emotional game. Like it doesn't shy away from being cheesy, but like in a really nice way. You know, a lot of I think Western RPGs, you know, they're not gonna like really focus on some of these emotional points, but Tales of Arise does it really beautifully. The characters are really amazing. They are flawed, but they are flawed in a very realistic way, and the way that they look at the world in a really kind of I call anime typical optimism, which I think we can see in most JRPGs. It's really refreshing. It's really nice to play through in what's been, you know, quite a difficult year. So yeah, graphically, mechanically, narratively, everything about it is just superb, and no other game could come close to taking that spot for me. So I'd really recommend people to try it if it's something that they are interested in.
Yep, check out Tales of Arise. And the next game we're talking about actually is proving you a liar because no game comes close to this game, and then you were like, hang on, there is another game that I think should be on this list. And tell us about Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous.
So I did lie, and I lied in the blog, and I did lie a little bit on the video. So Tales of Arise is Game of the Year. I really wanted to give a shout out to Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous because it is, I've been waiting for it for a very long time. I backed it on Kickstarter when they first announced it. And it finally came out this year, which has been amazing. And if any game comes close to Tales of Arise in sharing kind of Game of the Year for me, it is this game. Mostly because, you know, if anyone asked me, you know, what genre would you play, Taya, if you could only play one for the rest of your life, I would always answer CRPG because there are just so many amazing stories, characters, gameplay mechanics in a wide range of worlds, and quite often CRPGs are really replayable as well. So, you know, you can play a goody two shoes, you can go play an evil character, someone who's a bit more neutral, and it's really exciting. And everything that I love about CRPGs, I think Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous does so well. Now, again, little preface, I haven't finished the game. It is a very long game. I'm about, I think, 40 hours in now, but I think most playthroughs go over 100 hours, so I've got lots of fun to go. But it's just astounding how epic the world that they've created is. So it is based on the Pathfinder tabletop RPG campaign of the same name, and I believe using the same rule set. I'm not super familiar with the Pathfinder TTRPG, but it takes a really epic story of the fights between good and evil. It has everything that you would expect from a really good TRPG. There is an abundance of character creation options. There are, I think, 12 races, 25 classes, each of which has 3 or 4 subclasses. There are also prestige classes, mythic classes, hundreds of abilities, hundreds of items. It's amazing what they've done, and it's not a super big team. I believe they have about 60 people in their team. So they've made this amazing story that you can travel across this fantasy land. The characters are really interesting. The companions have their own personality and opinions. And what I really like about this game, and also its predecessor, Pathfinder Kingmaker, is that it is chock full of decisions, both small and large. So one of your decisions could change the life of one character. Another one of your decisions could change the plot of the entire world. And I really love that in my RPGs, which is really good. I could sit here and talk about Pathfinder all day, so I'm going to stop
I'm not going to
now.
let you. We've got other games we need to talk about.
Major kudos to Alcat Games. They have taken a really impressive game already, which is their previous game, Pathfinder Kingmaker, and have made it even better, which is really amazing. And I can't wait to see what else is in store for me over Christmas.
Yeah, cool. Next up then on our list is Mario Golf Super Rush, and this was nominated by regular contributor Ben Joy. If you know Ben, you'll know that he's obsessed with all things Mario. Ever since he got his N64 as a kid, he's not been able to get over it. And he put this game on our list because he was happy that it wasn't just a remaster of the old game, and it was actually a natural progression of the series, a genuine new title. He describes it for the Mario Golf franchise. So it's got new characters, new game modes, and new courses. The biggest of which is the new game mode they've added, which is the speed golf mode, which the title kind of suggests. So you're kind of competing against other players to get to the hole as quickly as possible, as well as with the lowest score. So you're literally golfing at the same time, like a race. And you can get power-ups like Mario Kart style power-ups to try and disrupt other people and take out your opponents as well. Nintendo games are always great for families as well as for, adults, and they can be played solo, or they can play online, or in the same room as people as well, using the Switch's motion controls. So really recommended game from Ben Joy there if you're looking for a sports title, especially a family-friendly one this Christmas. Check it out. Next game on our list is Valheim. This was nominated by Pete Keating, who works with us in the play team. And it's interesting, this nomination, because it had a massive start to the year. Like the beginning of 2021, Valheim was everywhere. And it's dropped off a little bit since then, but Pete wanted to really just take a step back and recognise the accomplishment that Valheim did in those first few months of the year. Breaking records for most concurrent players, selling a whopping 5 million copies within the first month on Steam. And if you don't know about Valheim, it's a multiplayer survival game where your character kind of is in this fantasy world and you've got to forage and kill and craft and level up and stuff to try and survive and explore the terrain, and you kind of go further and further the more you kind of level up and build more stuff. But the multiplayer aspect is really the star here. That's what Pete enjoyed the most. That's what he wrote in his review for us. Basically, the chance to help other people level up and explore and build things with other people is really rewarding and gives you a real sense of team spirit during the journey. So yeah, congratulations to everyone at Iron Gate, and thanks for making Valheim. We appreciate that. Next up is Kina, Bridge of Spirits. So this is, I think, the only PlayStation exclusive nomination that we've got this year. Kina, Bridge of Spirits is a charming and gorgeous debut title from Ember Lab, in which you take on the role of Kina, who's a young spirit guide, and she travels to an abandoned village in search of a sacred mountain shrine. You know how it is. When you're a spirit guide, you've got to go to an abandoned village in search of a sacred mountain shrine. She encounters these little creatures, the wandering spirits, and basically gets to collect them and use them to further her cause by using them in combat and to solve puzzles and stuff. So there's a bit of kind of Tomb Raider style exploration, a bit of Zelda even, maybe you could say. But really the ambience is one of the stars of the show here. You can see that it's got this kind of almost Pixar-esque quality to the visuals, really cute little creatures, and yeah, just a really great vibe and world to kind of live in. It's quite a short game, it's around 10 hours, but Ben Gammon, who nominated this for the list, says that it's a game that everyone should check out and make sure they play in 2022 if you haven't already. So thanks for that, and congratulations to Kina, Bridge of Spirits. You going to play Kina, Taya?
I am. It's on my list. It looks amazing. I've heard many people compare it to kind of the vibe of Studio Ghibli, which
yes.
is an immediate sell for me. So yeah, really excited to check this out in the 2022.
Cool. Next up, let's talk about Chorus, and this is another nomination that comes from the mouth of Ben Joy. This is published by our friends over at Deep Silver. You know, just for the purposes of full disclosure, we do work with Deep Silver. They didn't pay us for this, unfortunately. So Chorus is a game where you pilot a spaceship and you play as a character called Nara. She was part of a cult called the Circle, and now she's angry at the Circle and she wants to take them down. But Ben Joy has praised the fact that the game is takes a bit of getting used to, a little bit of a challenge in terms of controlling the spaceship. It's quite a complex thing to do, but gives you a real sense of achievement and really makes you feel like a master fighter pilot in space when you manage to get some of these moves down. He also praised the story, said it was compelling, and you could tell a lot of thought's gone into fleshing out Nara, who's the main character, which really made the game easy to come back to, and he's hungry for more. So congratulations to Deep Silver, Fish Labs, and Chorus. Next up, we're talking about Metroid. So, I mean, Metroid is a classic franchise. There's been a lot of anticipation leading up to the release of Metroid Dread because it's been such a long time since we last got a mainline Metroid game. There's been some spin-offs and stuff, but most of the time it feels like Nintendo just forgot Metroid existed. It's been years since they really acknowledged it as a franchise. And then they came out of nowhere and said, hey, Metroid Dread's coming. It's 2D, it's classic style, but it's updated for the modern age. And Miles, who nominated this for the list, says that he's a huge Metroid fan and he's glad to say that it surpassed all expectations. So he notes that in his review for us that Metroid and Castlevania kind of spawned this subgenre essentially of Metroidvanias, of games where you explore 2D worlds in this kind of way. And it's been a long time since that happened. There's been lots of games since then that have used that methodology. Hollow Knight, Ori and the Blind Forest, all sorts of games have come out in that space. So it was maybe a bit of a challenge for Metroid to come out in 2021 and be classic, but still respect the fact that the genre has moved on a little bit in that time. And he says Metroid is still king of its own genre. He says the world, which is still 2D, is incredibly immersive and is just really impressed with the fact that you really feel like you're isolated on a huge alien world with these treacherous climates and vicious monsters. There's only 2 dimensions to play with here, so the art direction goes a long way. He also praised the difficulty, so really challenging, especially the boss fights. Really going to test your reflexes and also require you to use your head as well. You have to think about some of these enemies and how you're going to approach them. To round off, he said that it's easily his favourite game of the year, his favourite game on the Switch, and one of the best games he's ever played. So, high praise for Metroid Dread. One more game then for the list, and this one was also put on by me, so I feel qualified to talk about it a little bit. I know, Taya, you're keen to play this as well, but I really wanted to make room on the list for games that challenged my ideas of what games could really be and what they could do. And when I thought about that, it was obvious to me that I had to put Before Your Eyes on this list. I just think it's such an incredible combination of technology and art. So if you're not familiar with Before Your Eyes, you play as a recently deceased character called Benjamin. He's been fished out of the River of Souls and he's recollecting his life, basically thinking about all the events in his life up to that point. The twist is that the game actually uses your webcam as a method of control. So when you blink, the game moves forward, so his memories basically skip forward in time. His life literally flashes before your eyes from your natural blinking. It sounds simple, and you can turn it off, you can do it with mouse clicks if you want, but playing it as they intended with the blinks is just an incredible experience. It's such a brilliant design decision that really puts you in the main character's shoes. So you start with him as a baby, and you just let your natural eye functions take over. Every now and then a scene happens, and you're like, I must not blink, I want to see more of this scene, because I'm so invested in it now. But obviously everyone's got to blink at some point. You can't get away with not blinking forever. So really, really impressive combination, like I say, of code and storytelling, and it all just comes together really, really well. It's very non-traditional. It's incredibly short. It's less than 2 hours. You're not going to see it in like a box on store shelves or anything. A lot of people would say it's not even really a game at all. It's it's an interactive animated movie maybe, or it's an experience. But I just thought it had to be on this list because I thought it was really poignant, really unique, and just fantastic time. I got emotional during this one. You talked about your RPGs making you cry earlier, Ty. I definitely, this was the game that made me feel something this year. So I was really had to see it on this list. What do you make of Before Your Eyes? Are you keen to try this out?
I'm both keen and also worried that it's gonna absolutely break me. So I'm waiting until I feel emotionally ready. I've heard some amazing things, and wow, what a mechanic! It's always amazing when a game comes out that completely changes our perception of what can be a game and how we can experience these stories. So just for that, I think it's definitely something that I want to experience myself. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I loved it, and I also think I might never play it again, just because it was maybe a little bit too sad. But really highly recommended from me and other people as well on the internet. I know I'm not the only one who's raving about Before Your Eyes. But yeah, that's the final game to make our Games of the Year list 2021. And that's us. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for watching. You can read about all our choices on our blog at uk.com/play. We appreciate you sticking with us all year, checking out our coverage, and we'll be back in the new year with even more videos. We'll be talking about games marketing, we'll be playing some games, and doing all the things you love over on our Twitch channel and here on YouTube as well. I'm Adam and Bert, she's been Taya, and we'll see you next year. Bye.